Hey, friend, welcome back to another episode of Ash to Dusk. I am so excited for today's conversation because it is one of my favorite topics to talk about, and that is goal setting. Now, we're headed into a new year in just a handful of weeks, and you are probably already thinking about a New Year's resolution. You want to lose weight, you want a promotion, you want to start a new business, you want to be a better mom or a better dad, or you want to get married or have children, whatever that might be. But a lot of you are planning a New Year's resolution. And I'm here to tell you that the likelihood that it will fail within the first 2 weeks of the year is greatly high. I know I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, but as much as I am a visionary, I also have a lot of realism in me. And it's very real that those New Year's resolutions fail within the first 2 weeks. You can look it up. And hey, just go to any gym in your area. The first few weeks of the new year they're just completely packed full of people. But by the end of January, it's back to normal business. It's because we get excited about something. It's kind of like when you go buy a brand new car, you get excited for it in the moment, but then when you get the payment, the bill to pay the car payment, you're like, you have buyer's remorse, you're like done, and now you're kind of sick of it. It's the same thing with your New Year's resolution. You get super excited about it, but then when it actually comes to the grind and doing those things and being consistent, you fail because you didn't really set yourself up for it. You just went and said, "Oh, I'm here to do this." And so that's a lot of what chasing after your dreams is like. You can spend your whole life chasing after a dream, or you can spend your entire life completing and achieving goals that reach that dream, and you can have many dreams. I think it's really important to differentiate that you can have dreams that will just always be a dream, but that's not very fun. Or you can have dreams that become reality, and the only way to get there is by setting goals, setting boundaries, believing that you can do it, and getting started. The most important thing is taking action towards it. So let's talk about goal setting. Now, if you are brand new here, we've never met before, you're probably like, well, then who is this person to talk about goals? So I want to kind of back up a little bit and share a little bit of my background story so that you do have a better understanding that it does work. Like the things that I'm going to share with you today, it really does work. So I went to college. I should have a degree by now, but I spent several years in and out of college. And quite frankly, I think it was just as a millennial, I'm 36 years old. It was drilled into us in school that you basically were going to college or you're like a failure. No one said that. It's just that's what they pushed back then, right? Everyone's going to go to college. It's the only way you're going to get a job. You have to do that. And no one in my family had graduated from college. My parents didn't go to college. My grandparents didn't go to college. I had an uncle that did, but it just wasn't really a common thing in my family. And so a part of me wanted to do it because I wanted to be like the first in the family, and I am a high achiever and I want to accomplish a lot of things. I realized it was not for me. And I'm so embarrassed to say, I've been in and out of college so many times. I should have a degree and I have student loans to prove it. But that's not the point of this conversation today. The point is I do not have a degree, and I have absolutely quit things and restarted multiple times. And specifically related to college, I remember my husband now, Mike, he said to me one day, because I went back to school. I was like, I'm going to get this degree, this business degree. And I can get it done in less than 2 years through this accelerated program at Malone University. And I did it, and I went back and I was in it for a full year, and I was getting all A's. It was so boring to me, quite honestly, but I was doing it. And then COVID happened. And so I was working more hours than ever before as a food service director, plus trying to manage all three of my kids being at home and doing schooling with them. And it became so much. And my husband said to me, "Why are you doing this? Why are you going to get a degree?" And I'm like, because I just feel like that's the only way people are going to respect me and take me serious. And he was like, "You've already made it. You're a food service director. What more do you need?" And so it just really put in perspective to me that sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to do something that it's not really meant for us, but we do it because we feel like that's what other people want us to do or other people expect us to do. So we first have to start with that is before you set a goal or you have this dream, does it really align with who you are? Is it something that you really want? That's what matters more than anything. So yeah, I don't have a degree. I have a lot of experience with taking college classes though. And I'm a former food service director. I absolutely loved that job. Actually loved it so much that I started my own business, Project School Nutrition. We are an extension of teams in school districts across the country. We're in 6 states now, and we help with menu planning and professional development and getting ready for their audits when they have them. That's how much I love school nutrition. And so I am a small business owner. And 5.5 years later, Project School Nutrition is my baby and we're growing and it's been awesome. But it was a challenge getting there and it's still a challenge to this day. But I will tell you, I've always dreamt of having my own business of some sort. And I never knew what it would be. I didn't realize that it would be in school nutrition. I feel like school nutrition chose me. And if you're in school nutrition, you know, it kind of just like chooses you. You don't necessarily choose it. But yeah, I am a small business owner. I have a total of 4 of us on the team, and it has been such a fun journey, very stressful at times for sure, but it's been crazy to think about all the impact that we get to make and being an extension of the team to a lot of these school districts. So yeah, I'm a business owner. I'm a former food service director. And before that, I was a receptionist in the school district that I graduated from and became the food service director in. So that's kind of where I started. And before I was a receptionist, I was actually a student worker in that same district. My junior and senior year of high school, I was just a troubled kid. Let me just say it that way. There was just a lot of traumas in my childhood that kind of caught up to me. There was just a lot of things happening in that moment of life, and I just couldn't cope and deal with all the things, and I had turned to using drugs and sex, and I just it was just a horrible time in my life. But the people in the school, they wrapped their arms around me and they gave me a chance. And they put me with the superintendent and with her assistant, Wendy. And if you've heard any of my keynotes, then you've heard about Wendy. And and so my life forever changed in that moment. And I will tell you this, people can believe in you so much, and that is important. It's important to surround yourself with people who do believe in you and who see the possibilities in you. But the only way you are going to achieve a dream, the only way you are going to accomplish a goal is believing in your heart that number one, you deserve it, you're worthy of it, and that you want it bad enough, and the why behind it. That is more important than anything else. If you put it into somebody else's hands to believe in you, well, that means it can also be taken away if they don't believe in you anymore. Like it has to come from within. So let's dive into this topic of goal setting and visualization and the power of believing in yourself. So back in 2019, I had just turned 30 years old and I went to a personal growth conference. I went to a Rachel Hollis conference. So if you don't know who Rachel Hollis is, she's another person that I would highly recommend, reading her books and listening to her podcast. She's been very influential in my life and a lot of my accomplishments. But I had already read 2 of her books. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to invest in myself and I'm going to go to this personal growth conference because I just knew I was meant for more. I needed a change in my life. I didn't really know how or what that was. I had my food service director job and I was really satisfied in that. I loved what I did, but I just also felt like I'm meant for more. So I actually made a post about this on social media recently, but I charged $3,000 to a credit card to get myself to this personal growth conference. Because here's the other thing, if you know me personally, I go all in on whatever it is. So I purchased a VIP ticket, which was $1,800 before taxes or anything. It was $1,800. And I was able to be first row. I got to meet Rachel Hollis. I was all in and immersed in this experience. But then you had to pay for your hotel room because it was a few days. I think I was gone for a total of 5 days. Your hotel, your airfare, your food, all the things. And so it ended up being $3,000. And I didn't have the money to just go do that. I went against what a lot of people would say, and I charged it. And I did it with this belief in me that if I just invested in myself, if I just had more tools and resources, and I did this for myself, that I know it's going to pay off. And yeah, it has paid me back. I couldn't even, I can't even put a percentage to it. It was worth every single penny. But was I stressed about it when the bill came and I'm like, I can't pay this full amount and I have to just pay on it monthly? Yeah, for sure I was. But the belief was there. And I think that that's what's important. So, one of the things that I learned through the teachings of Rachel Hollis was the importance of writing your goals down and gratitude and visualizing the future. And so I want to kind of show you, which you won't be able to see probably the fine writing, but I'll read some of this. I want you to know I've been doing this practice for a long time. Now, I have changed the way I do some things, I've incorporated other habits and routines into my life. But this was a journal. She used to sell these journals and they're called Start Today. And so in here, and you probably can't see it, but it has 5 things that you're grateful for, and then 10 things that you've made happen in the future, and then one thing you're going to do today to get to make that happen. And when I look back on this, okay, here was July 13th. So this was the day after my birthday. Oh, this was in 2024. This one was, I'm sorry, I grabbed the wrong journal. This was in 2024, but I had ones from like back in 2019. So this was last year, and I had put, I'm grateful for my birthday dinner last night, the beautiful weather that we had, date night with Mike, sleeping in this morning, a reminder of how strong our family is. So those were 5 things I was grateful for. So I do believe in the power of gratitude. You are going to be going after these audacious dreams and goals, but you have to ground yourself in the present at the same time. And that was something that I always struggled with because I'm always thinking 5 years down the road. I'm always thinking so far down the road, but sometimes forget to get grounded and come back to like what's happening right now. And the gratitude practice really helps you stay connected to what's happening in the present. But also, when you come across those hard days, like, how am I going to make payroll? Or what happens if somebody on my team leaves? Or, you're a mom, you're going through a divorce, or fill in the blank to whatever that is for you. When days get tough and hard, you've got to come back to the things that are actually happening good in your life too, so that those tough times don't overshadow that. And then it was 10 dreams that I made happen, but in the future. And so last year I wrote that I made $1 million in my business. So I'm working to achieve that next level of $1 million. That doesn't mean profit. By the way, people, it's not profit. Okay. One day I hope to possibly achieve that, but this is in revenue. Okay. In revenue. And that's a different podcast episode for a business one, but very different revenue and profit. I'm a New York Times bestselling author. Like, my goal is to write a book one day. I travel the world. Just even a year ago in 2024, I was still struggling with flying. I was getting better, but I was still struggling. And if you haven't heard already, go back to the other episode on my fear of flying. I share all about that. But my goal is that I travel this world. I want to see it all. I have my own personal growth brand, which is coming out in the new year. So that's actually something that's coming to fruition now. I'm a motivational speaker, which I can now say that that has come true. My boys want to spend time with me. Like, that's a dream that I have, like, that they choose to spend time with me. And I think we're finally getting there, which is great. I fly without fear. I am healthy. I've struggled with hypertension and anxiety, and I did another podcast episode on that. You can go back to watch. Um, and then I put that Mike and I are closer than ever, because sometimes I feel like we ebb and flow of being like super close. And then, we're just in the busy, the grind of life, and we kind of ebb and flow there. And that I'm in peace. I want to just feel at peace, which I keep moving closer to that every single day. But so much of my life has been wrapped up in feeling anxious about things all the time. And then one thing that I was going to do that day to help me achieve one of those dreams was I put exercise 30 minutes today. And that was really tying back to being healthy, but also that in order to achieve a lot of these goals, we need to make time for ourselves. So I wanted to share this with you because you're going to need to get into some sort of consistent habit or a process of writing down and speaking into existence the goal and the dream that you have. And so you can start very basic. Right now, it could just be as simple as, well, let's start with gratitude because I do think that's important. I want you to either start or end your day with just, even if you speak it out loud, like what is one thing you are grateful for that happened within the last 24 hours? That is so important, you guys, because you need to stay grounded in the present and remember that there are good things. And it shouldn't be super general, like, I'm thankful for my job. Be very intentional about what you write down or what you speak out into existence, because the more granular you get with that, the better the outcome is going to be. And then I want you to think about, what is it that I want to do? Like, what do you want to do next year? So instead of writing a New Year's resolution, what is it that you want to accomplish within the next year? And write that down. And, I'm going to challenge you to be very specific and even more specific than when I was writing some of mine. Don't just say, I'm healthy. Maybe it's you're saying, I've lost 10 pounds, or I am managing my hypertension without medication. Be as specific as you possibly can. And then I want you to think about, what is one thing you're going to do today to make that happen, and get it on your calendar. It's so important. If it doesn't make your calendar, it's not going to happen. So if you're not used to using a calendar, just use a Google Calendar. It's super easy. You can have it on your phone. It needs to go on the calendar. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's therapy, if it's exercising, if it's whatever it might be, put it on the calendar. And also, by using your calendar, you're going to be able to do like an audit within a year and look back and say, should I be putting my time towards these things? Is it serving me? So that's like a whole nother episode in a topic. Um, but start writing these things down, because the likelihood of you accomplishing a goal greatly increases when you write it down and you speak it out loud. And speaking of that, speaking out loud, start talking in the mirror. Yeah, you heard me. You're going to start talking in the mirror, start talking to yourself, and you are going to speak all kinds of truth and goodness into yourself. Now, will your kids look at you like you're a little bit crazy? Yes, they will. Mine have. Okay, mine just know now mom's just practicing. She's just encouraging herself, but you've got to start looking in the mirror, and you need to find something about yourself that you love, and you need to speak truth, kindness, and love to yourself. And you need to speak these into existence, because I do believe in manifestation. I do believe that you can speak things into existence, but hear me out. It's not that kind of like, I made $1 million and poof, here's $1 million. No, I'm talking about, you are continuously speaking light and goodness into the world. And when you keep saying the same thing over and over again, like, I am a business owner, and you say that every day, you're going to start showing up and acting like that. You're going to start dressing like that. You're going to start presenting yourself in that way. And you're going to achieve that goal the more you start speaking it out loud, and especially as if it's already happened. I always say, I use the analogy of, let's say I actually wanted to get my degree now, okay? One of the ways that I would do this is I would say, I have a degree in business management, okay? And I am going to schedule my classes for the spring today, right? That would be like one thing I could do today. But I'm going to also be visualizing, like, what does it feel like to walk across the stage and get my diploma? What would it be like to have my parents and my kiddos in the audience and Mike out there watching me get my diploma? What does that paper feel like? What does the crowd sound like? That's the level of visualization that also needs to take place when you're thinking about your dream and making that happen. Now, aside from, right, and you can also just have like very pretty journals and books that just live on your shelf, and they call it shelf esteem. It makes you feel good about yourself. You buy the books, you do all the things, but they kind of just stay there. You actually have to put it into action. So even though you're writing these things down, you actually need to take action towards it. So, like overcoming my fear of flying, well, the only way I can achieve that is actually by booking the flight and getting on the plane. Like, that's first and foremost. And then I need to keep doing that over and over and over again, even when I'm afraid, even when I'm having a panic attack. I need to keep doing that because it's the only way I'm going to overcome my fear of flying. So, same thing with you. Whatever that goal is, whatever dream you want to achieve, write it down, but do something about it. And you need to set your day up in a way that allows you to do that. So maybe you work from 7 in the morning to 3 or 4 or 9 to 5. You've got to find 30 to 45 minutes a day where it can just be on you. And now I've been a single mom. I have been in situations where I didn't necessarily always have help like I do today. But I promise you, you can find time to do it. Anything is possible, but you just have to believe in your heart and in your gut that you are worthy and capable of doing it. Now, speaking of believing, this is something I have found so powerful in my therapy sessions. It's the power of I am, filling in the blank. I am capable. I am worthy. I am just getting started. And it's speaking truth and light, but it's also encouraging you. And I say those things out loud in the mirror very often because I struggle with what's called imposter syndrome, especially now owning a business, doing a podcast, being a keynote speaker. Like, I struggle sometimes believing that I am qualified enough to do this work. I mean, that still enters my mind even when I get on stage, when I sit here getting ready to record this for you. I struggle with that. So, one of the ways to combat that is to start speaking truth and light and love. And so, I will stand in the mirror and I will say, I am capable. I am ready. I deserve this. I am able to help, and so forth and so on. Now, I also, for me, have found the power of I am to be a little bit personal because my initials are A and M. Now, you will know, I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes here, but the personal brand that I'm coming out with, which will ultimately be the hub for all things Project School Nutrition, the podcast, personal growth things, you'll notice that if you look closely at my logo, it's an A, and then there's an M. There's a dot in the middle that represents like I, and then there's circles around it because I think it all starts with us personally, but then we also need an ecosystem because we're meant to achieve things in this life. We are meant to live life together in community and to help each other and to grow together. So I think it does start with us believing in ourselves and taking action, but then it also means who do we help in the process and how do we get to be connected with other people? So the power of I am is so deeply rooted into my personal growth brand and every single thing that I do. And I also think it's really cute, like when you're looking on social media and you see parents post videos of their kiddos looking in the mirror and saying, I am strong. I am confident. And there's just like these little cute kids that are saying this. You have to do the same thing yourself. I always say this. We ask kids all the time, what do you want to be when you grow up? Okay, what job do you want to have? What do you want to do? And when we turn 18 years old, it's like that all stops. You're working, you pay the bills, you go to sleep, you get up, you do the same thing over again, you have a family. And we stop asking each other, what are our hopes and dreams? What do we want to achieve? Because it becomes this whole thing like, it's time to grow up. You don't need to dream anymore. Like, this is the reality. You need to go to work and pay your bills. True. But I also think it can be true to have audacious dreams that you can make happen, not meant to just get up and to go to work. We need to have purpose and belonging in the work that we do. The way we find that is by starting within first. So yeah, we stop asking each other, what our dreams are, but we also stop talking to ourselves so nicely. As a kid, we don't sit there and say nasty things to ourselves, especially as a toddler, right? Like, we don't have that capacity. We don't think that way. And then somehow we get older and then we sit there and we start self-doubting every single thing that we do, and that doesn't serve us anymore. So when it comes to building your dream, here's what I want you to do. You don't need to go buy a fancy journal. Although if you want to, of course, it's going to make you feel good. It's like that self esteem. Oh my goodness. You can do that and that's fine, but you really just need to write down what is the dream that you want and write it down as if it's already happened. If it's debt free, you're going to say, I am debt free. Okay. The goal is got to, or the dream's got to be very specific to you. And then the goal is, well, what action step do you need to take right now to make that happen? That all compounds on each other. It's all about consistency. It's not going to happen overnight. And I think that that's something that I love social media for the sense of like, you can learn from people, you can be inspired by people, but the downfall to it is you don't get to see the struggles and the realities of the day to day. Many of you have said to me, I don't know how you do it, or oh my gosh, your life looks so great and it's awesome and you're your own boss and you get to call the shots. Yes, I have created freedom in my life by owning a business, but I've also have more stress now than I've ever had in my life because I have people on my team who count on me to pay their bills. I have school districts who are counting on us to do an exceptional job to help take a load off of their plate, right? And so I don't just have one school district I work with, we have many school districts. So, there's a different level of stress, but however, the difference is that I go to therapy regularly now. I try to eat better and drink more water and I get my massages. I try to do things that also fill my cup and help me manage my stress. So that's super key and very important. If you're going to go after these goals, they're going to be hard. That's the whole point of, they call them a dream because most of the time they just live in the clouds and they never come to fruition because oftentimes they're so audacious that people can't really fathom that fact that it would really come true. Like people would be like, oh, I want to be a millionaire and it becomes a joke. It's like, no, I legitimately want to be the first in my family that becomes a millionaire. Like I want that because not to just be like, oh, because I have all this money, but because I believe that the more money you have, you can do even more greater things to help other people, to serve, to give, to do. So it's not just, I want to just do that. There's a deeper why behind it. But I also recognize how hard it is to get there. And so in order for me to do that, I can't work alone. I need my team to do that. We just talked about that on the other episode about having a team and delegating because you won't be able to achieve these high goals and this dream without surrounding yourself with other people who can also help make it happen. That's a reality. I had built walls up around myself for so many years, you guys. I didn't let people in. I wanted to protect myself and guard myself, and that came with family and friendships and I really started to almost isolate myself, to be honest. And part of me needed to do that to kind of refocus on myself and what I believe in and setting boundaries. But at the end of the day, those big dreams aren't going to happen without having people who you trust surrounding you in the process. And let's face it, it feels good to help other people. It feels great to be a part of something that is so much bigger than yourself. So, as much as I am very focused and driven personally, I also do it for the greater good of I want to help as many people as possible, especially women, get out of situations that no longer serve them, to help them see that there is so much more to this life than just raising kids and just being a wife and just going to work. Those things are all important and those things are all satisfying and fulfilling. Don't get me wrong. But we also want to do things that fill our bucket outside of just those roles. Because here's the thing, your kids are going to grow up one day and they're going to leave you. That's the natural way of life. And then what happens with you and your spouse if you guys didn't put each other first? You're going to grow apart. So there's so much more. Us mamas tend to do this a lot where we give and pour all into our kiddos. And then we forget to pour into other relationships in our life, like friendships, like our marriage. And also, it's okay to have a career if that's what you want. If that is the thing that you want, it's okay to have a career because your kids are going to leave you. Now, I have friends who are like, I want to be raising my kids at home. That is what fulfills me. Great. Then that is what you should do. And it comes back to what I said at the beginning of this episode, which is you need to identify the dream and the goal that aligns with who you are. That's most important for you, not everyone else. because it's not going to work, right? And ultimately, you're not going to be happy. You're just doing something for somebody else because you feel like that's what is important. No, it's what matters for you. All right. So we're getting ready to head into this season now where the New Year's resolutions are going to be coming out and, it's a kind of new year, new you kind of thing. But I want you to just get into a practice right now. There's no better time to start. Don't wait until Monday. Just start now. Grab a piece of paper. What is the one dream that you want to go after? What is one goal? What is one action step you're going to take to get there? Go stand in the mirror every single day that you wake up in the morning. I want you to spend 2 minutes in that mirror talking to yourself. And it's going to feel very awkward at first. Then I want you to use those I am statements and fill in the blank. Maybe you're not feeling confident. So you start saying, I am confident. Okay. That's what I mean by the I am statements. And get to work. That's the easiest way to achieve the dream is to actually get started, to put those work boots on and get going. So with that being said, I'm going to let you get to it and I will see you back here next time. But until then, keep your light burning from ash to dust.